Police in Zimbabwe have fired tear gas to disperse protesters in the country's second biggest city, Bulawayo. This follows yesterday's violent protest against a massive fuel price hike in which several people were killed and more than 200 arrested. For an update on the story, we'll cross to our correspondent, Ephert Musekiwa in Harare. Good afternoon, Ephert. How is Harare looking today?
It's quiet on the streets of Harare as we speak at the moment in the central business district. The streets are deserted. People have stayed away, largely maybe due to the violence that rocked the city yesterday. There are very few people on the streets. Mostly it's just the military, and it's just the police and the military that are on the streets of Harare.
And speak to us a little bit about what's happening in Bulawayo. What have you heard is taking place there?
We've heard that today there are also skirmishes that are also happening in Bulawayo between police and some residents, but mostly the skirmishes are confined to the residential areas, the suburbs where people live. There's also very minimal activity in the central business district of Bulawayo. So really, for today, all the activities are away from the city centers. They are in the residential areas.
Mm-hmm. We've been seeing a lot of reports on social media, and sometimes we don't know how to discern what's fact and what's people trying to bring in fake news and confusion. So perhaps you can help us. We've been hearing about undercover military personnel allegedly shooting at civilians. Are you hearing about this as well? Are you seeing anything about this?
Well, for us, I think just as an update as well, the internet has been blocked. There is no social media. So most of those reports, we are not getting them today. But what I do know and what I can confirm is that, yes, indeed, there was some deployment of the security forces that includes the military in some of the residential areas. But the military that has been deployed is actually in military uniform. The ones that I can confirm to have seen or to have observed are in military uniform. They are not, as you claim, not to be difficult to identify. You can actually identify both their vehicles and identify the personnel as well because they are in military uniform. So those reports, we have received them, but I can't confirm them because we have not encountered such people on the street.
There's been a sense of anger in some of the reports that we've been seeing over these fuel price hikes, but people in Zimbabwe are saying it's not just about the latest fuel increases. Talk to us about the reasons for the protests.
Yes, it's true. Over the past couple of weeks, the economic situation has deteriorated, as you might be aware. Doctors embarked on a 40-day strike, which began in December, and they only ended about a week ago. Civil servants had also planned to go on a nationwide job action, and it was supposed to start this week. So really, those are signs that the people were not happy, people were disgruntled with the economic situation that was currently prevailing, and there had been talks which had failed to yield anything between the government and workers' representatives. You'll remember that the government was only offering about a 10% salary increment for civil servants, which the representatives of the civil servants turned down and said it wasn't enough, or it wasn't. It didn't relate with what was prevailing in the economy. So really, there are a lot of issues. Even in the hospitals that I spoke about, there is no medication. So a lot of people were forced to buy medication. They were forced to acquire it in United States dollars, which are not readily available on the market. Also, you realize that a lot of government workers and a lot of employees were now demanding payment in foreign currency, which is not also available in the economy. So really, it's a whole range of issues that are actually bedeviling the country that have forced some of these protests that we see. The only rise in fuel was just a trigger for people to actually show their anger and just to bring out how they felt about the current prevailing economic conditions.
Ephert, when you've been speaking to people, how are they going to cope with these fuel increases, with these grocery increases, and what plans are they making to try and deal with it?
Well, I think as to what they will do, it's a very difficult question to answer. But I think the protests in themselves are an indication that people were not able to afford this price hike. It's a clear demonstration and a clear indication that it is unjustified. It's a clear indication that it will actually worsen the situation. So I don't think the fuel price hike first was going to improve the fuel situation, because if you move around, there hasn't been any delivery on any of the fuel stations. There is no fuel on the market. Today, maybe because of the protest, most of the safe stations, if not all safe stations that we've gone to actually close. We haven't come across any safe station that has fuel and that is selling fuel. So really, I think it still waits to be seen how the government is going to respond going forward. Are they going to reverse this decision? Are they going to maintain it, or what? It still remains to be seen how they will respond. Even up to now, we're still waiting for the government to actually give us their response to the protest, but we haven't received any communication, or we haven't received any information from government authorities.
Ephert Musekiwa, our reporter in Zimbabwe, giving us an update on those protests that are taking place.